Hello again, everybody. Appreciate you coming on board. We are studying Jonah Coleman tonight with the Washington Huskies running back. I'm Ben Parker. That's Shane Ratliff. This is a affiliated effort between Pro Football Enterprises and the Box Score Network. So we appreciate you, whichever channel you're watching on. We really appreciate you being a part of this. We've covered a lot of a lot of draft prospects for the 26th draft. I mean, a lot. We're pushing 70 now between the two networks. So let's get into Jonah Coleman here. Height 5'9", weight 225. So kind of a unique body type. There's not too many guys that are kind of at that end of the the quadrant, if you will. His 24 numbers, 193 carries, over 1,000 yards. YPC is 5.5, had 10 touchdowns, and then you can see he had some catches for some yardage there as well. His 25 numbers, which again, at this point in time, the season's not over, so we don't have the full slate of numbers, but we do have a great feel for what Jonah Coleman is as a prospect. 112 carries for 568 yards, so his yards per carry is down just a little to 5.1, but I expect that usually. His touchdowns, though, are up. He's already got 12 touchdowns in 2025, which already eclipses his 24 number. Shane, I've got a bunch of notes on Jonah Coleman, as always, but I'm going to let you start and set the table, and then we'll get into it.
So Jonah Coleman, one of the first, backs that we've had a chance to talk about, but uh, just really enjoyed getting a chance to watch some of the game film. I mean, this guy is the prototypical bowling ball when you need him to be. The thing that surprised me most, though, is for a guy that carries that physical stature, I think his best attribute is his vision. There's times where I see him make reads that it's almost like he's clairvoyant. He knew 2 days ago that hole was going to be open. Does a great job at that. Another thing for being a physical runner, does not turn the ball over. At the time when I took a look at him, I think he had one fumble in almost 400 touches,
Wow.
396 touches, I think, in one fumble. He's a natural pass catcher. He's tough, willing blocker. You can see the offensive line enjoys blocking up front for him. Uh, the only real knock I had against him is kind of some of the stuff that you're going to get with the type of player he is. He doesn't have a real top end speed. The touchdowns he scores, it's not him blasting away from people. It's him making two or three guys not want to tackle him ever again, and then him getting into the end zone, him catching swing passes, things like that. I thought that he could work on pass pro, but Washington also has an interesting way that they do a lot of their RPO schemes. Um, so he's not in your normal, two backs and have him get the outside guy and protecting that. But pass protection is another thing I think he could do. And as opposed to some of the other guys we've talked about on the offensive side, I didn't think his lateral agility was that great. He sees the hole. He has great vision. I think he's not super athletic when it comes to being able to make cuts. He's not a Barry Sanders cut 13 times and do that. But Barry Sanders also wasn't taking on a linebacker, a safety, and another linebacker to get two more yards. The plus side for me from Jonah Coleman is this guy knows what he is. Um, you don't see him lose yardage. He doesn't fumble the ball, as I already mentioned. For their offense, I think he's become an even greater weapon, and they have good receivers at Washington.
Yes.
A young quarterback that's on the move. So it's not like they changed the offense completely. It's just he's getting the ball more in the red zone than he did last year, and the touchdown numbers are showing. Um, you mentioned he's a little bit lower in um, rushing yards and yards per carry, just a little bit than what he got last year. But I think it's more in the way that you're using him. Uh, for me, he'd be a back I'd take on my team any day. the things that he doesn't do well, I think like you can pick up, and no, not everyone's going to be a 4-3 guy, you know. But if I can get some pass protection skill in there, everything. The sheer fact that he had the one fumble and 396 carries would be enough for any running back coach to want him on his sideline. So,
Very good. I'm going to duplicate, and for the audience to y'all have heard me say this before. Me and Shane don't get together before the show and talk about these players. All right. He comes in with his opinions and his notes. I come in with mine. I'm not even sure he's written any notes. I think he's got it all in his head because he's that smart. But I have to write mine down. But anyway, we don't. The point is, we don't collaborate. All right. We get on air and we hash out whatever we're seeing. And sometimes we see it the same, sometimes we don't. But as I go through my notes, Shane, I'm going to duplicate almost word for word about 5 different things that you said. Okay. So a lot of what we're seeing is very similar. I don't have the vision thing in my notes. That's very good. I put it in different words. I put it more in like cutting that he has. Again, not Barry Sanders crap, but cutting. But again, I think you're dead on with the vision there. I think that's very good. Here we go. Faster than I expected. I really like the speed. It feels smooth, good through the hole. And again, it's not top end speed. I'll get to that in a second. But through the hole, he is faster than I expected when I saw 5.9225. I thought I was going to see nothing but a ram butting his head into, defensive lines and just shoving through. But no, he's got the ability to smoothly accelerate through the hole. Very good, efficient runner. Um, I heard an announcer say that. Just very efficient. I agreed with it. Just very little wasted movement. Really good cuts, left or right, quick cuts, really effective. Gets him where he needs to be. Again, it's not the Barry Sanders juke stuff. It is nothing like that. But boy, he can make one step and get himself where he needs to be. And that's that. The vision that you're talking about, along with that one step cut, gets him right where he needs to be. And that really is beautiful. So I really like that. Does not seem to have elite breakaway third gear, that true home run speed. That's almost exactly what you said. He doesn't have it. People can catch up to him pretty easy. Okay, so even if he gets through the hole and he has a lot of space, he's probably not going to take it to the house. Okay, they're going to catch up to him, and then they got to try to figure out a way to get him down. But he just doesn't have that. But again, he explodes so quickly and accelerates seamlessly into second gear. He is very damaging that way. All right, so man, slamming through that hole to get to the second level, really good at that. Good soft hands, catches all the short area stuff, and great on screens. Boy, on screens, he is really an asset. Now, he can catch anything in the short area, whether that's over the middle, over the ball, whether that's kind of sitting out there on the at the flat. But screens, they use him a lot on that. He's really good at that. Really like his work on screens. He is physical and not easy to bring down, but that is not the true essence of his game. That is part of his game. I'll get to more of that physicality here in a minute. He is to me when I watch him, he's a speed first guy, not a hit people first guy. He's looking for space, and he'll run people over. I'll get to that in a minute. But his actual game, which surprised me, you look at 5.9225. I thought he's just going to run into people, which he can. He's looking to catch the edge and go find some space, is what he's really looking to do. He's very good at that. Um, where am I at here? I think probably better as a sorry, I'm skipping right here. Best way to attack him is don't let his momentum get started. He loves the space.
mm-hmm.
If you can get on him early before he gets that momentum started, it's going to help you a lot with your tackling. Okay, so it's easier said than done. That's the best way to attack him. Get on him early. He seems to me better as a zone runner. Again, I mentioned I think he likes to get out there in space. So if you could spread out the blocking at the NFL level to where he's got kind of those options, he'll find the right hole and he'll explode through it. I think that's really, he can do the other stuff. I just think he's better as a zone runner at the NFL level. Doesn't seem to squeeze through tight holes as well. I noticed that he'll find the hole, but he likes this space. He's not looking to squeeze, through tight holes. His cutting ability seems to fit better with zone. I already kind of hit that. He will break arm tackles easy. Man, you can't tackle him with an arm. Okay, you're not going to do it. Just don't even waste your time. You can't hit him high and tackle him. That's a waste of time. But now, if you get in position and you get your arms around him, you can bring him down. All right, but you're going to have to come with your full body, your technique, arm wrap. That's really the only way to get him down. You can tackle him that way. He'll break a lot more tackles on the edge or in space when he's in second gear. You mentioned that bowling ball, I think. Once he gets that momentum started, you kind of toast. He's going to bounce off you, bounce, bounce, bounce. He might bounce off three guys in a row, with just a hit or an arm tackle. They're not going to bring him down that way. He's got his momentum. Bam, bam, bam. It's impossible to get him down that way. When defenders get their body in front of him and wrap him up low, they can bring him down. When they don't, he has a tendency to bounce off of them. Here we go. Pass blocking. Really was not happy with his pass blocking. It seems to range from mediocre to bad. You already mentioned that. I saw this time after time. Repeatedly lets quicker guys get past him while linebackers tend to blow him up. I don't know why. This guy, this is not a light guy we're talking about. And he's fast. And yet, when it came to blocking, pass blocking, the little guys would just run right around him, and the linebackers would just knock the snot out of him. I saw it time after time. He just doesn't seem to have any anchor or lower mass. It seems to be upper body is where his strength is, and he's a boy. He's built. He's got the muscle. That's it. Just doesn't seem to be in the lower body. It seems to be in the upper body is where it seems to be at. And that shows up in the pass blocking. The Huskies actually prefer to just split him out wide or run him on a short route over the ball as opposed to having him in pass blocking at all. That's how bad it
Mhm.
is, to be honest. So, anyway, I've gone on a lot there. I repeated about five things that you already put out there. So, Shane, back to you. What you're feeling about Jonah Coleman and where you're thinking about drafting him, which round you might be looking at him in.
The thing I like the best about what you talked about, Ben, is kind of where you're saying it looks like he's a better zone runner than he is kind of in any other scheme. I think a lot of that has to do with, like we said, he gets fast to make the read. He doesn't have that extenuating speed or agility. And sometimes that actually helps you as a running back because the little bit of time it takes you, especially if you're in a zone scheme, gives that offensive line just a little bit more time to kind of set their feet and get everybody turned. And then you're making the one read. And like I said, I think his best attribute is his vision. Once he makes that read and he hits that quick agility, he's not a Tesla. He's not gonna, 0
Hmm.
to 70 on
Right.
but he's like a Ford 350. He's gonna tow that entire boat at 60 miles an hour for as many times as you need him to do it.
Yes.
Like you said, pass protection is I do truly believe that the offensive coordinators have just decided forget about it. He's
Okay.
a weapon for us more outside. Let's just get him the ball and we'll get it to him quickly, and that way the quarterback doesn't take a sack. Um, yeah, I'm often surprised about that because, like you said, he obviously isn't afraid of contact. He doesn't necessarily run to it, but he doesn't run away from it. He runs like a bowling ball. He'll hit at everybody. If you're going to arm tackle him,
Right.
it's going to make you pay.
Right.
Sometimes I do think in pass protection that does hurt guys because as a defender, if you get the chance to blitz, this guy is already beating you up for 13 carries, and then now's your chance to get a shot at him. So I do think sometimes they'll take shots at him to slow him down, to have him take more hits than to get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Um, I think he's a guy where, in the way the NFL is now, he's going to fit in a platoon system. You're going to be able to have him, not to beat a dead horse on running backs that are like this, but this is a Harbaugh guy, especially without the turnovers. Um, I'm going to keep hitting on that because I think that when the draft comes around, they're going to talk about how many touches this guy has with basically a fumble in a career.
Wow.
Um, that's in the NFL, you can't win when you put the ball on the ground. And having a tailback that no matter what situation I give him the ball in, we're going to have it. That makes it easier on third down. It certainly makes it easier to give him the run on first down when we're happy that we just got the ball back. Um, I think I think NFL evaluators are going to see the pass protection thing, and I think they'll probably do exactly like Washington did. We're never going to put them in that situation. We're not going to ask them to do those things. Um, I wish he was like a tick faster.
Right.
Um, there's not much else he can do about that. It's not like he's carrying, as you mentioned with his size. He's 5'9". He's not short.
Right.
225 at that size. That's heavy for a running back. But I don't think him losing 10 pounds is going to make him that much faster. And I want to make this clear. I am not talking a link in talent or in type of running back, but this is where people got on Saquon Barkley when he was coming out. They just thought that he was too big. He's not going to be fast enough. He's a bowling ball, but in the NFL, people are going to catch him. That didn't happen for him.
Right.
Coleman doesn't have the speed that Barkley has, but he's one of those guys that, again, like, you have to play for what your body can do. He can't. I
Yeah.
don't. If he loses 10 pounds and he becomes 215, I think that just weakens the other skills that he has. I don't think it makes him that much faster. Um, but if he had just a tick more speed, I think his talent becomes exponential. Then guys are talking, how high is it that we're going to draft him? Now they're looking for reasons where we're going to push on him. We'll push on him. We'll push on him. We'll get him in a later round. I think for what Washington, there was a good chance that Washington could have been pretty empty in the cupboard talent wise. I think he's done a great job of leading that team and continuing to power through. Uh, I really, like I said, other than the pass protection, which is, sometimes will make you throw up in your mouth a little bit. Everything else, he's a joy to watch. And their offense has been interesting to follow this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. You mentioned an interesting thing there that in some cases, because he's pounding on the other guys, right, when they're trying to arm tackle him and stuff, or once he's got his momentum built up, he's pounding on them. But it's interesting you mentioned that linebackers may actually take advantage of a chance to blow him up as opposed to trying to get to the quarterback on occasion because it's kind of their chance to get him back physically. I think that makes sense because I don't usually see running backs take that hard of a hit, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, several times I saw him not lifted clear off his feet, but you talk about blown up. It looked like the linebackers were coming for him, not the quarterback, and that makes a ton of sense there that they would be taking advantage of that
And
because he's doing it to them. Yeah.
and the reason why I mentioned that, Ben, you think about it. There's a roughing the passer penalty.
Hmm.
Uh, Head hunting obviously gets called more likely than not on a
Right.
safety coming down on a wide receiver at tight end.
Yep.
And what position gets the snot knocked out of them the most of anybody? Running backs, like they said, you got tread on the tires. You only have so many carries in you before you're going to be out of the NFL.
Right.
And I don't disagree. If I'm a defensive coordinator and I've got somebody that can rush, when I see talented guys, I want them to take a hit on every play. It's just one more bruise. It's one more thing for them to have to deal with. And if I'm playing against Jonah Coleman and they're not going to give me the opportunity to really get a great shot on him because of what he can do,
Yes.
I'm going to run him over as a blocker, and I'm
Yeah.
going to make it so that he hates to do it, and that's one more time we got to hit him, and this time he wasn't prepared because not only does he not do well at it, you can see when he's against some decent linebackers, he's actively just trying not to get beat badly.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so, anytime where he's got a little bit of fear in his mind, I'd rather have that than have to deal with him at full strength and on his, uh, precipice of going downhill. Because when he gets going, like you said, he's not going to outrace you, but two carries that are both 30 yards still get you 60. You don't
Yeah.
always have to get it in one shot. So,
Right. Yeah, he absolutely will. And just I don't want to confuse the audience here because me and Shane see this the same way, but we've kind of gone back and forth on a couple on the speed thing here. We like his burst through the hole and his ability to accelerate to second level. That's really good. But then he peters out. He ain't got no third gear he's getting into. So
mm-hmm.
that's where the speed changes. He does not have that top end where he's going to haul you a 60 in one carry. But like you said, he may get 30 on back to back carries. That happens. he does that, right? So that's where the speed thing is sitting. And then I'll go back real quick here. I'm gonna talk about a player here because you mentioned sometimes when you're not that uber quick, twitchy, fast running back, it actually works in your favor because it gives the offensive line time to set up the blocks. That's a legit thing. It reminds me, and he does not remind me of this player, but what you said reminds me of this exactly. Emmitt Smith was a guy way back 30, 35 years ago who had some of the best vision this NFL planet has ever seen. He had patience. He would find the hole. He would wait for the blocks, and the timing was perfect every single time for Emmitt Smith. And yes, he had a good offensive line, but he was so perfect at waiting for the hole to develop and then knowing exactly
Um,
where it would be. He was beautiful at that. Now, Jonah Coleman is not that, nothing like that, but still, the idea is there. If he were part of a zone blocking scheme, he seems to have the good vision. He seems to know where the space is going to be, and he seems to have the ability to cut to it. That's where I think that he would get his most effective there. So that is Jonah Coleman. Any last words, Shane?
no, and I like you said, Ben, we're not putting him in the Hall of Fame, but the
Right.
Emmitt Smith link, uh, coaches always used to talk about him. He did what they would call slow to, fast through. So he'd be slow to get to the hole. He'd let Moose Johnson set up a block. He'd let
Yeah.
the massive offensive line in front of him get to their position. And then once he saw that daylight, he stuck his foot in the ground and he was downhill. Fast right through the hole, slow to the opening, and then fast through. I think you're right on this. Jonah Coleman is that same type. He's going to put his foot in the ground once he makes that read, and he's going to go downhill. If you can get people in front of him, I think you're going to have a great back and a lot of yardage. Um, for him in the combine, it's all going to come down to the 40. He pops
Right.
a good 40, and all of a sudden he skyrockets up the draft board.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm sure some of the audience is yelling at me. I didn't say where I would draft him. Right now, I've got him mid to late second round is where I have him. I don't have him in the top 40. I just really don't have him there from a
Mm-hmm.
explosion speed talent standpoint, but boy, he's got everything I kind of want in a running back. He can come play for me, but that's kind of mid to second round. But you mentioned that that's a great phrase there that I hadn't thought about the slow to and the quick out. It reminds me of something Dale Earnhardt Jr. said 20, 25 years ago, talking about going into the turns. He said, easy in, hard out, right? So you go easy into the turn and then you slam it and floor it coming out of the turn. It's the same mindset there, different physics, of course, but the same mindset is you work your way patiently in, not slow, but patiently in, and then you blast through or blast out. It is the exact same mindset there for Jonah Coleman. So, Shane, I've enjoyed it, man. Really good work. All right. Everybody, thank you for listening. Shout out to our executive producer, Simon Short, who produces stuff on the Box Score Network. And of course, the Box Score Network is part of the reason it's a network. It's a part of several podcasts that feature a lot of NFL stuff. Two Peas in a Pod also does the NBA as well. Tricky Takes also does a lot of baseball. In the Flat also does mainly college football. There's the soccer show because CONCACAF. So we have a lot. Kind of the common hub is the NFL, but boy, they branch out to a lot of different things too. So go check it all out either on the YouTube channel or on the podcast. That's Apple and Spotify. Thank you, everybody. Have a great one. Good night.